All right, what's going on, guys? All right, so I got a mixture of topics here for this video. I'm just going to start with the first one. Obviously, I tweeted this out on my, or not tweeted out, I posted this on the channel. So if you guys saw it, you kind of already know what the first topic is going to be. So let's go ahead and just jump into this one. Microtransactions. Now, we already know this is something that's not going to go away. They're going to be permanently here for all single games. And the reason why is because just because you might not buy it, or just because I won't buy something like a $20 skin or a $20 weapon, that does not mean that somebody else who clearly either needs a boost in the game or who clearly needs some kind of edge to make themselves feel superior, that person will most likely buy that cosmetic item. So that's what's going on with Anthem at this point. Now, Anthem has some cosmetic items right now. It's only cosmetics. They don't affect gameplay whatsoever. But one thing that a lot of us have had on our minds, especially me, I've been very vocal about this when it came to Anthem, was if they're going to have, you know, microtransactions in this game, could they possibly sell you the actual mech suits that are going to be in the game separately? Like, could they, you know, additional ones? Could they sell you additional ones? Now, each particular mech suit that you guys are already seeing, if you played the little, you know, the demo, so to speak, right, the little beta, you see that there are plenty of mech suits in the game, so you can, you know, have fun with. But even with the current selection of ones, you know, you kind of have this voice in the back of your head, like, this is EA, right? This is EA. Would they possibly follow Ubisoft's logic and throw in other characters that are definitely, you know, something that you have to pay for? Remember, Ubisoft did this with For Honor. Remember how For Honor, there was only 4 factions, and then they just started throwing in all these crazy amount of heroes and you know, knights or whatnot? I'm pretty sure they'll do that with Anthem. I'm pretty sure, especially if the game takes off the way they wanted to take off. But now, the reason why this game is getting a lot of hate with this whole microtransactions is very simple. First of all, EA didn't even bother to do a stress test or a quality test for the servers to make sure that you at least get a full understanding and appreciation of the game. They literally just threw it out there with no cares whatsoever, and then as soon as the beta was over, they go, oh, by the way, guys, we're gonna have cosmetic items that are gonna be DLC, and you know, we're gonna have microtransactions going up. That's pretty much what they did. Now, looking at these actual store, right, looking at everything, crafting, you can obviously buy resources for what I'm looking at. Shields, you can buy plates. I mean, come on, look at this. And you have different, obviously, cosmetics for the actual suits. Odds are, though, with this being EA, they might just go strictly like Call of Duty. That's what Activision shines at, right? Activision always has some crazy looking skin to go over these guns and their characters. Pretty sure EA is going to take a lot of inspiration from that particular thing and have a bunch of options. And again, these don't affect gameplay whatsoever, but that doesn't mean that they won't go down that route, going down, you know, the road. And looking at, you know, and one thing also, people are saying that they gimped the what was it, the actual resources that you get throughout the game in favor of microtransactions so that you can actually pay for this. Now, I don't know if that's true or not, but if that's true, again, that's just setting themselves up for failure pretty much. And it kind of makes me look at Anthem with a well, I got a keen eye on Anthem as a game to definitely look out for when it comes to these particular practices. I still want to play Anthem because Anthem does look like, you know, a really, really cool game. I like what they're doing with it. I like the style and I like the concept, but I'm not going to sit here and act like it's all sunshine and rainbows just because they have a new slab of paint and they're doing stuff like flying. The game does look great, and I'm definitely appreciative of the game and their effort for the concept, but I'm not going to sit here and be nickel and dime neither at the same time. So again, they're there, and I'm pretty sure somebody's going to say that too. Yeah, the microtransactions are there, but they're optional, and that is very true. But one thing you got to take into effect here and take into certain, we've seen this numerous times, right? We always say the same excuse: they're optional. But what happens when people buy them when they're optional and you just sit there and you don't wave a red flag? You just sit there and go, oh, I don't care, it's whatever, right? It's their money. What happens 9 times out of 10? They'll come out with either a worse system like they did for the Call of Duty franchise with the loot boxes or supply drops, right? or they'll do something crazy like start gimping the gameplay of characters. Like they'll start releasing these stealth patches, right? You guys see it all the time. They'll do these little stealth patches where they'll decrease the actual effectiveness of that character on the game, and then they'll start selling you premium characters, and then that's going to put us in another realm. So that's where I'm pretty much standing for, right? Or that's where I'm at right now with this whole information. Not a fan of it whatsoever, but I'm definitely not going to support it. So that's my thoughts on the whole Anthem thing. Am I still gonna play the beta? Oh yeah, like pretty much my my opinion on the game. I'm definitely gonna play this thing on the 1st, right? We're gonna be playing this on the channel on the 1st, but I'm gonna definitely leave it at that. If it's bad, if it's really that bad at the 1st, and if I really can't get into the game, then I might not get the game at all. So just throwing it out there. All right. Let's get into some actually, you know, in fact, I'm gonna say that for last. Let's get into the main topics. A lot of you were here for this. I know a lot of you were looking forward to me talking about this. So Quantic Dreams is no longer going to be making exclusives for the PlayStation 4 or possibly even the PS5 for Sony. Now, Quantic Dreams has been making exclusives for the PlayStation brand since the PlayStation 3. Sony took a gamble on them. They were pretty much a company that not many people were behind in terms of their games, but boy, did they definitely stand out when it came to their games. Their first ever game, which was a prototype, mind you, which would go on to become, what was it, Kara for Detroit Become Human. That first game, which was a prototype, became the premise for Detroit Become Human, which released recently, and that game was well received. But for this game to be, you know, exclusive to PlayStation, again, I mean, I always loved the games they had. You know, Heavy Rain was one of my all-time favorites from Quantic Dreams. And the fact that, you know, they're going to possibly not going to be on PlayStation no more in terms of being exclusive, it doesn't affect me whatsoever. And here's why. Heavy Rain was a game that did so well. It was so well in terms of storytelling, and I liked the characters, and you really did care about them. They really had you in your emotions, right? You know, Ethan and his son Sean and Jason, you felt these things. The fact that more people cannot experience that, and they were going, you know, well, this is just an interactive movie, was kind of toxic. Now, I do see a lot of flip-flopping now that this information's come out. People are saying that Sony lost an exclusive, which they never were exclusive. They even came out and admitted it a long time ago. They just choose to work with Sony because Sony gives them the actual resources, and Sony's been good to them since day one. That's pretty much it. No other studio was giving Quantic Dreams the resources or the push or the drive to push these games in this direction and this graphics. They weren't doing it whatsoever. So the fact that they're now partnering with another company is fine. I'm okay with it. It's okay. This is great for gamers. More gamers get to play a game, and it's going to be better for all of you. And when this game eventually does drop, whatever they're going to do, their next project eventually drops, again, you're going to know what to look forward to. Now, I don't know how I'm gonna feel. Like, I don't know how it's gonna be if they're like, I don't even know what they're gonna do at this point, right? Like, one thing about Quantic Dreams is that they kind of don't necessarily make sequels to projects. They kind of go with different ones. So odds are we probably won't see a Detroit Become Human Part 2. I don't think we'll get one. Just like I don't think we'll get a Heavy Rain Part 2, you know? It's like these stories have these multiple endings, and I guess they just leave it at that. So whatever their project's going to be is whatever. But this kind of puts them in the same realm as that studio, Telltale Games. Remember Telltale Games? Remember how, like, Telltale Games only caters to a vast sum, but it did sell well, especially the first one? Well, the reason why the first one sold so well, and of course Telltale was expecting the whole series to do that, is because it was on more than one platform. Telltale Games, the Telltale version was selling more than the actual David Cage version. And keep in mind, David Cage and Sony put AAA production into games like Detroit and Heavy Rain. So if those games are not selling, then again, it's going to hurt the actual team. So it makes sense they want to go third party. Best of luck to them. I'm still going to support their games. Their games are great. I love their style. But it is going to be interesting to see a lot of people who said that those games are interactive movies turn a blind eye and completely change their direction and go, these games are simply amazing. Something that everybody who actually played these games from day one, you know, guys who sat there and played Heavy Rain, guys who played Death Stranding, or not Death Stranding, Detroit Become Human, guys who played even Beyond Two Souls, even though that story wasn't the greatest, right? We'll tell you, those games were a marvel to look at, especially for their time. And the fact that they're now officially leaving Sony, or not even leaving Sony, but the fact that they're now just being more independent and being on more platforms for gamers is actually a good thing. My advice for everybody and I will hope with this information is that you guys will now buy these games and stop putting yourself in these borders when it comes to these platforms. A lot of you guys treat Xbox as like your own little island, right? You can't cross this island to go to the PlayStation to play something. Now that it's on every platform, more than likely going to be on every platform, then it's time for you to definitely branch out and definitely, you know, help the developers. You guys are about helping developers, right? Real good developers. Okay, support Quantic Dreams, because Quantic Dreams is one of those developers that go above and beyond to give you an amazing game and an amazing picture. And I can see nothing but bright things in Quantic Dream's future with this news. And this is definitely some of the best news that I've heard from them in a long time. Aside from Detroit doing very, very well on the PS4, and of course Heavy Rain, that was that one game of the year when it came out. That was pretty much it, because, you know, after Heavy Rain, a lot of people started to doubt Quantic Dream, especially after what was it, Beyond Two Souls. Beyond Two Souls, they tried something completely different. They even went and got top tier talent, ladies and gentlemen. They went and got top tier actors and actresses for that game. They got Ellen Page for one, for God's sake. They went and got Ellen Page, and they got William Dafoe to push that game. They used that star power to push that game, and even with that star power, it just didn't do the numbers that I don't think they were looking forward to. I don't think it was. So it is what it is. There you go. I guess I'll end this on some Xbox news. Phil Spencer. Now, Phil Spencer has been pretty much doing what he normally does, right? He's here to help the Xbox. He's been pretty much talking about Xbox. But one thing about Phil that had me interesting about this was that he was talking about the future of the Xbox in 2019. So I'm actually going to have the audio play for you guys, and that's pretty much going to be the end of the video. All right. I think it's good that Phil is still, you know, trying to look for ways to improve Xbox, sure. But again, we've kind of already heard it. This is why I'm going to pretty much end it, because I don't want to repeat myself. Pretty much heard the same song and dance. We know you're looking into studios. We know you're doing X amount of things. Now, I would expect you to actually improve everything else and have the quality games that people want, keyword, want to play, and not simply have to play because it's the only thing they have. A lot of people hype up Sea of Thieves because it's literally one of the only things that's on Xbox that is drawing some attention. Just saying. And that's the truth. And that's not a diss towards Xbox. That's just a fact of what's on the market, you know? So that's pretty much it. I'm Ron the Professional. If you guys enjoyed the video, hope you guys did. Hit that like button and share it out. I do appreciate you guys. You guys be blessed, y'all be easy, and I'm out of here. All right? Deuces.
I'm looking at the studios here. So last year was huge. 2018 was huge. You stood on stage at E3. You announced all the studios. I mean, I'm looking at this. It's quite the portfolio you've collected. I mean, most people collect like shoes and I don't know, they collect coins. Sometimes they got video games up on a cabinet. You're collecting studios from around the world. Well, for us though, for the gamers, for everybody.
The 2018 was a fun year, but I mean, you and I, we've been on this journey now for a while.
Yeah.
And you know what I'd say is, this is gonna be my 5th year in this role.
Is it already?
I think coming up on my 5th.
Yeah, you're right.
If I'm counting
Happy
correctly.
anniversary.
I'll run out of fingers at some point. But I think in the beginning we tried to figure out, you know, what we were about, why we were here, kind of getting back to the soul of what it means to be an Xbox team. And then we put on our hats and said, okay, let's figure out a strategy for why we're going to be in this space. We don't want to just duplicate what somebody else is doing. If somebody else is doing a great job being what they are, we should have a unique reason to be in this industry, and
have a value of something that is valuable to customers that can't get anywhere else.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. Whether that's hardware differentiation, whether it's, and at the same time we were doing all that work, we were working on things like, well, we got to get our hardware in a better position. I love the S and the X and where they sit today, and I think we learned a lot about that. But I would look. And I would say at the end of 2017, beginning of 2018, we'd really solidified the strategy, our longer-term strategy, say decade-long strategy for what we're trying to do. And it's really about putting the gamer at the center of everything. Play the games that you want to play on the devices you want to play them on with your friends, wherever they are. And you should be able to cross-play with anybody. You should be able to, as much as we can, we're going to bring our content to you wherever you are. And that means we need to have a critically successful console ecosystem. We've got to be great on PC, and eventually we want to be great anywhere that somebody wants to play one of our games or one of our partners' games. And when I looked at 2018, because I'm just obviously early in 2019, I tried to get my head around like, well, okay, what's this year about?
What's next? Yeah.
And I think what I loved about 2018, and you know this, it's not something we talked about in the press a ton, but this time last year we did a really big reorg.
Right.
Where we brought in a couple of new leaders because we had a real good vision on where we wanted to go, or at least we had solidified that.
Came up with the idea, now you have to put everybody in place to execute that plan.
That's exactly right. And what I'd say, what I love the most about 2018 is I feel like we got the right teams together, and I mean that teams in kind of the plural. Some of those were added, as you said, like 6 new studios, adding the 7th with the initiative, and they're doing a great job hiring. And I think now we're in execution mode. Like I look at 2019 and where we're going with future consoles, all this xCloud coming to PC, I think in a much bigger way this year, doing some things that we've been talking about for a while for real on PC this year. And this is a year where it's not strategery. It's roll up our sleeves and show. Yeah. And I love that. I love the studio acquisitions as part of that. I love the team as it's set up right now, and our leadership team and how they're showing up. The different leaders, some new, some that have been around for a long time. And I think everybody sees it now that this is the year. Okay, it's going to be. It's go time. Yeah,
but I also want to point out is that we talked about the studios specifically. Some of them are going to have some stuff this year, and some of them, like maybe the initiative, won't have it for a little while.
That's right.
So it's not like we're going to have all 12 studios. Here's all the new stuff. You're going to see it's rolling. That's just the way it works.
Yeah, the real goal with the studios for me is to get a large enough studio base where we can delight and surprise ourselves and our fans with games. And it's on a regular cadence. So we're not always pinched to say, okay, well, what can we announce? Now we can say, what do we have to announce, and which of these things do we actually want to announce?
Right.
And what do we want to let sit and percolate a little longer? And you know this, like it's been a while since we were in that position with our internal studios. Yeah. And I feel really good about that as Matt Booty and I are sitting down and looking at all the different things that the teams are working on. It's just the kind of capability that we have now as a first-party organization. I do think it'll continue to get bigger, but what we have right now is just so different than the position we've been in the last 5 years, which is awesome.
Without a doubt. I mean,
going back to like 2018, 2019, where we are, and I've done this kind of story too many times, but what I'll say today is when I sit down with the teams, and I did a couple product reviews yesterday, almost 100% of the time the team sits down having made so much more progress on what they're working on than I would have expected.
Right.
And it's just awesome when you get to work at teams that are accelerating on their own.
Yeah.
Like they have their own belief, they have their own capability, they feel empowered.
Yep.
They know who their customer is. They know what they're trying to do.
Just focus.
That's right. And you don't, like I sit down, I try just not to say something stupid to slow them down because they're just doing it.
Right.
And
you get out of the way.
Try to get out of the way.
Yeah.
And I'd say a few years ago it was more about alignment, more about belief. What can I do to help? How do we untangle some things that maybe are tangled?
Yep.
But it just is so cool. I mean, you think, I've been in the company for a long time, and I say, okay, at some point somebody else is going to sit in this chair, and like that's just fair,
right?
And but right now it's just so much fun.
Yeah, you know what I was thinking? I was looking at you. We're gonna play a little Jeopardy. What is 137 days and 15 hours?
I'm gonna guess it's E3.
There you go, E3. Getting ready for that. Yeah. I know. I've been in some meetings, and you've been in a lot of meetings as well.
Yeah, this is going to be a fun E3 for us. There are obviously some news about E3 back in the fall, and we had a discussion internally of should we go big, should we save some money,
right?
What does that mean? And we decided no, we're going to do our thing, and we're going to go and be as big at E3 as we've ever been. And I love that opportunity. I love the opportunity to be with our fans in the industry,
right?
And the industry conversations, it's like a revolving door in Sarah Bond's team who runs business development for us right now. And the third parties coming through and what do we want to do at E3? A lot of interest. It is going to be fun. And this team, last year we changed venue, which I think.
Oh boy, did we upgraded?
We did, and we're
the Galen was great, but wow,
yeah, it wasn't. I mean, not that it's the Microsoft Theater, but the Microsoft Theater is a special place. I love the location, how it's right in the center of everything. Yeah. And this year we're changing up a couple, as you know, things about how we're showing up at E3, yep. And I think again in a positive way. So, we've done it now for a while, this team, the team. And I love when we throw a new wrinkle in because I think it gets all of us a little bit on edge in terms of either where it is.
Well, that's the way it was last year.
That's right.
Everyone was like, the people that have been doing it, a lot of the folks in our events team and all the different parts have been here for a long time.
They have.
So they were like, oh, I don't know. And but it was great to see people roll their sleeves up and solve problems and get excited about the new location.
They did. And I think it was world class.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to this year. I'm thinking of, interesting on how and who we get on stage and how we kind of do that this year. And then I think it's going to be great. I think we're still going through some of the internal discussions about how much long-term versus how much near-term do we talk about. Right. You know me, I'm always more of a proponent for just being as transparent as we can be. That said, if things could change or something, you don't want to head fake people and say we're doing X and then we're doing Y. But I feel really good about our plans, and we'll kind of work through those things with the larger organization. But I think it's going to be. I think the content that we'll have will be great. I think we'll talk about our future. I think we'll talk more about what the Xbox brand means to us. I think rightfully most people, when they think about an Xbox, they think about a gaming console. Yeah. We do as well. Yep. And I love the fact that the gaming consoles play such an important role in our strategy. But at the same time, we have millions of Xbox customers who we never see on console today. Yeah. We see them on a phone, or we see them on a different device or on PC. And to really continue to push this idea that you can be a member of the Xbox community, even if you're not playing your games on a console.
Yeah. Wherever you are.
And we want to continue to make that possible. You can stay connected to your friends. You can stay connected to your content. One thing I'm doing, which I had a good time with when I was away over the holidays, I was playing games on xCloud.
Really?
Yeah.
So we announced this last year, and I know that internally, I haven't had a chance to do that. I've got my devices ready to go, but
So
tell me about that.
It was fun.
Be careful.
No, I was just playing. I think like anything, we want to make sure we get it as right as we can. Right. And the best way for us to do that is to test it with us. And, I was in Hawaii for a little while, and I have my device and I'm playing, and it's cool because when I'm doing it, I'm just on Xbox Live. I'm getting the same toast pop-ups, like people invited me to parties and stuff, and like to anybody else in the service, I'm just playing.
You're just playing.
And I'm playing this game.
That's the way it should be.
That's the way it should be. That's what kind of so I am as much a part of the Xbox community in that context as I am when I'm sitting down in front of my X.
Regardless of what device you're on or where you are.
That's right. Yeah. And there's, I'm learning a lot as I'm playing games this way. It's helping me kind of think about the experience before we get it in the hands of customers. But I think it's just when I think it'll be, let's be clear, it's going to be years, I think, before this is the primary way that millions of people are playing.
Right.
But as sitting at a company like Microsoft with the assets we have, I think we should focus on the now, and let's go be great with the consoles we have in market now and the games that we can go build.
Yeah.
Let's think about our future and our kind of the existing spaces of console and PC, and let's go be real meaningful in those places. We got significant work to do there on PC, but I love the plan. But I think we should also have these kind of 5-10 year views on where we think things can go.
Right.
And I love the fact that we can play in all three of those horizons at the same time.
Now, I have to ask you this because your boss, the CEO of the company, for the CEO of one of the most valuable companies in the world, Satya, what's that like in his engagement with gaming? I mean, clearly you report to him, so he knows that it's valuable to the company and it's a big deal.
Yeah, I'd say for Satya Nadella, our CEO, and Amy Hood, our CFO, which are probably my two primary contacts, incredibly supportive. And obviously, when you're going and adding even the studios that we did in the last, 8 months, Amy's got to approve all that as the CFO.
The Chief Financial Officer.
Chief Financial. And I've said this before, Satya looked at me on the last one we finally, because we've closed them all now, we've closed them all, and he He's like, man, we're really in on content, aren't we? I'm like, yes, we are. But he loves the strategy. And I think he more than anything, he trusts the team.
Now, Amy doesn't play a lot of games, does she? Was it you who telling me the story about the Division?
No, I don't think so.
Somebody was telling me this story about it. And I don't know Amy that well.
Yeah.
But somebody was telling me the story because she's our chief financial officer. Yes. And apparently we were talking about the Division, and she said, oh, I love Division.
Yeah.
And no, not that type of Division. Yeah. Not long Division, because she's a numbers person.
Yeah, that's right. Amy pays a lot of attention. She watches streamers. She stays.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
That's
she stays very connected. She's got younger kids. She doesn't have a ton of time, so she doesn't play a lot. But I think as her kids are getting into the ages where they'll be playing, she'll have that connection, which is great. Satya just, I think for both of them, trust in the team, belief in the strategy are critical components, big supporters. You know, there's certain things where I have to work, like take Game Pass. Satya will, it's easy. He calls Game Pass the Netflix of games.
Right.
You know, I think
a lot of people do.
A lot of people do. And it's not.
Right.
And that's no disrespect to Netflix. I'm a Netflix subscriber.
Right.
I love it.
Right.
But it is fundamentally different.
Sure.
The content that we have works differently than a video thing where I watch
show,
it, right? Where there's a beginning, middle, and end, and then it stops. Not all games are like that. Games last longer. Some games have business models inside of themselves.
Right.
Some of the aspects that are similar, it's been really cool just to see the uplift in gameplay. People, when they find, I saw some interesting stat, I'm sure we'll kind of publicize it at some point. Human Fall Flat is a game that's done incredibly well in Game Pass. And when we watch those players, like we say, okay, oh, here's a puzzle game that I don't know how it would have done on Xbox without the exposure of Game Pass. You can never kind of do the before and after of that. But now you see, hey, we got a lot of other puzzle games that all of a sudden are becoming more popular.
Right.
And where are those players coming from?
All boats rise.
It's actually literally it's coming from people who the first real puzzle genre game that they played was a game like Human Fall Flat. And I think how awesome is it that we have this kind of this system where people can try new content, with low friction, low barrier, get exposed to something that is fun, creatively put together, a game I love. And then when they find, hey, I do like this, you know, Thomas Was Alone, I'm going to go try that game. I'm going to go find other puzzle games because I found that I like it. And I don't know that happens as much on a video service. I think it maybe happens some, but I don't know if I don't know if all of a sudden House of Cards is popular and people go look for other political dramas or something. But in games, I think because of the community nature of it, because of the business model of a lot of the games and stuff, it works different than video, and it works in some very, very healthy ways. Which has been awesome. So I love the discovery that happens in Game Pass and stuff. But Satya is big believer. I mean, when you think about the consumer-facing businesses inside of Microsoft, the consumer products, and we do a brand analysis, what Xbox means. I mean, Xbox is a big global consumer brand in so many markets, and they love that.
It is. It's kind of amazing. We talked about, you've been here at the company a long time as well as I. To remember, I always tell people the story of when we were at Millennium, which is an old office park we used to be in.
The gravel pit.
Next to a gravel pit. And I used to remind people that we would, it was the team, when I joined the team, it was like 300 people. And now I don't even know how many people are in the Xbox org around the world.
It's thousands.
It's thousands, and they're around the world. So
That's
it's growing and growing and growing. And as you just alluded to earlier, there's tremendous aspirations to go beyond the console.
There is, and the growth is part of it. I think on a percentage basis, we're one of the fastest growing groups around. Obviously, the acquisitions have a large part of that. I also, going to around the world, I love the fact that we no longer try to push everybody to live in the upper northwest corner of the United States.
Thank God,
we can go do an acquisition or hire people once you've got a footprint in different places. Even remote employees. I had a good lunch with one of our strong Xbox Live devs who lives in Southern California and works from his home, and he has for years. And I think you want to find the best talent. You want them to be able to be comfortable with where they live. I think I was down at Brian Fargo in Exile. They're in Malibu, or Newport. Sorry, not Malibu, Newport. And then they've got another part of their studio that's over in Louisiana, the Silicon Bayou. And I think it's great that we can actually have footprints, have offices in different places. It lets us hire more different kinds of people.
The talent pool is much bigger.
That's right. We're not always competing with ourselves, and it means a little more travel. But I just think as the community and the culture that we have inside of our team, it is such a great addition.